right. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to season two of Reley Career Talks. I'm your host, Foley.
And hi, guys. Welcome back. I'm Rebecca.
Yes, and we're doing a little different. Usually, Rebecca and I are together, but she
Mhm.
got on my nerves, so I but I was just, I'm just, yeah, I'm joking. But we do have a special guest here today. Actually, a family, my cousin, a big boy right here too. But I can't do him any justice. I can't give him a better introduction than he can. So please, sir, introduce yourself, your company, and other enterprises that you have.
Mr. Foley and Miss Rebecca, thank you very much for having me. Senyo Ador, CEO at Sesenergi Eco Solutions Enterprise. That is a closed loop clean technology company. We bring renewable energy to the market, and we also educate in the same realm. Okay, so that's one side of what I do. Um, I also try to bring that same clean technology, renewable energy concept into what do you call it, mixed use real estate projects.
Okay.
So, you know, with the move to kind of make things more green and more carbon sensitive, the main place that we use a lot of carbon is in our homes or in our places of business, industries, etc. So focusing on building or retrofitting existing buildings to make sure that they're energy efficient does as much to help the equation as bringing in solar, wind, geothermal, those technologies that have been deemed green. So you tackle it from both sides. What can I do in my own footprint, and how can I be more responsible about generating power? So I try to be on both sides of the equation.
Okay.
Yeah,
Perfect.
and that is done through a company by the name of Fabric Brands. We are a
Okay.
developer here in Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I wanted to ask you, how did you get into this? Because I mean, as you know, clean energy, all that kind of stuff is now popular per se. But how did you get into it?
Yeah, I was in clean energy maybe before it was the in thing, to do. But before I was in clean energy, I was in dirty energy. you know, I was I worked at General Electric straight out of college, and there I was building gas turbines, gas plants, power plants, and steam power plants, which
Mm.
traditionally we would call, fossil fuel based generation. And when you talk about renewable versus non-renewable, right? When you take a resource from the earth and you burn it,
Mhm.
and you can no longer use it again, that is the non-renewable. So when we take gas out and we burn it, it's non-renewable. When we take coal out and we burn it, you cannot capture the coal again and burn it again. So it's non-renewable. But when you talk of, wind, which is abundant, sun, which is abundant, the core temperature of the earth, which is the same across the board once you get below 25 feet below the earth's surface, those kind of sources are renewable. You can go after
Mhm.
them again and again and again. And not only are they more stable, but they don't give you the same level of emissions that you're dealing with when you're dealing with the fossil base. So I started with fossil at GE, and then I went to start distributing that power with a company by the name of Weldy Lamont Associates. They
Okay.
have projects in Ghana and in Senegal, where we took the power that I once generated here in the US, learning how to build power plants, and distribute it to rural communities in Africa.
Mm.
Okay, so that gave me a concept of what it meant to generate it at one place and then export it to the end user, down to your meter, right?
Yeah.
But in Ghana, there were some areas that, because of the terrain, you could not build your conventional poles and wires that you see carrying your electricity on the road.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes the road isn't secure, or they'll have rainy seasons, so you have mudslides, and it's difficult for the crews to penetrate and get the poles and the wires to those areas. So then the advent or the inclusion of solar power means you can just take the panels without building those poles and the wires, and you can decentralize it, right? You have a what they call distributed generation. You can just put one generation source here exactly where the people need to consume it, instead of generating it somewhere and transporting it down. So it makes it more accessible. So I came into solar almost through necessity. It wasn't in my mind like, I want to be green or I want to be clean. We just needed to get electricity to some areas, and that was the most kind of agile way that we could, we could service those areas. And then I got to learn about it and get my hands on it, get comfortable with it. So then I started thinking, okay, if we can do it in rural Africa, what about rural America? What about rural, South America? Like, so then that's the way I work, is once I do it somewhere, I think about different applications and unique approaches, and it just became organic from there. So that's been my journey in the business.
Yeah. I have a question too. Why do you think that a lot of people use clean energy more often as well too? Because you mentioned it's, renewable, can last longer. Why is it, for our audience, why is it not used more often and, around the world?
Yeah, I get that question a lot. And because I've been the bad guy, I've been on the other side of the equation. But I also understand the value of cleaning things up. I'll break it to you this way. Originally when we started developing, the concept was, let's build something massive and robust, right? So there's one large capital investment that really is made to service maybe thousands, maybe millions of people. Okay, we're talking about one power plant. Okay, and then you're adding jobs because you're building the tax base around while you're servicing this population. Okay, and the infrastructure at that time, the mindset was bigger is better, robust is better, right? Now that those systems have been in place and we've gotten to a certain level of industry, right? You can now look back in hindsight and say, okay, is there a way to debundle these large infrastructures to make sure that, one, they're more environmentally sound and friendly, but two, they're more sustainable? Because I don't know if you followed the news in Texas, but when they had that snowstorm, a lot of that infrastructure, that large capital investment that was put in, ended up failing. And it was because it was all centralized in one place. So you had one point of failure could collapse an entire community, an entire sector. Whereas if you break it into smaller pieces, right, you can have one point of failure, but you still continue on with the redundant smaller sides that can all feed in. And in addition to the sustainability, it's also a cleaner technology. So I think that both were necessary. I think the original means of generating power, people did what they knew with the information they had at their disposal at that time, right? But as technology advances and we know more and we can do better, we should do better, right? And I think that's what has reached Capitol Hill. So now you hear all the way from the Biden administration down that we want to be a clean country, clean technology, green, renewable focused country by 2050. We should remove all the fossil-based generation from the country. Whether or not that is feasible, I think I cannot say that, because I don't know how much resource they intend to put towards those goals. But it's a good mark or a good goal to have, and to have collectively everybody working towards that. If we get it, great. If not, at least we're walking in the right direction. And I think that's the most important piece, is that you want an intentional government, intentional leaders that are putting policy in place that's saying that we are putting the welfare of the community at the forefront. It's not special interest groups. It's not, big banks or big companies. It's, yes, we all want to make money and we all want to be, prosperous, but at what cost? If we know this is something that's damaging the earth, it's damaging people, we have to pivot. So I'm happy to see that the administration has taken that stance.
Okay.
So my next question to you, you mentioned working in Ghana, Senegal, and you're actually based in Chicago.
Yeah.
So I know that with Sesenergi, are you only here in the United States, or have you also branched out to other countries? And if so, what are those other countries?
Yeah, so Sesenergi is US based right now, strictly US based. We've had some discussions around maybe doing some some partnerships in West Africa, also South America. What I envision, though, is I want Sesenergi to be an enabler. Okay, I want Sesenergi to be a cheerleader, for the clean technology revolution. So that may not necessarily mean that Sesenergi has to open an office in Kenya or in Ghana or in Guyana or in Aruba. It does, but those that are like-minded, that also have the same kind of purpose and mission, we can see what resources Sesenergi has that it has at its disposal and see if there's any room for collaboration with people that are already active on the ground. I think one thing I learned about, establishing here in the US and doing work in other countries is that there's a large brain trust to be respected in those countries. I mean, you go to Costa Rica today and that country is running on 100% renewables.
Wow.
So it shouldn't be that, because America has gone through the agrarian revolution, into the industrial revolution, now into the information age, that you are now going to show everybody how to do everything. No, everybody has their own approaches. So when I come into a space, I'm not thinking that I'm here to save the world or save you from your situation. It's more to understand, what are your challenges? What are you facing on the ground? And how can we think together and work together to kind of solve those challenges? So that you can now be empowered and move on and service and collaborate with those around you. And I can continue to act locally and activate around here. That kind of mentality.
I think that's actually really great, because sometimes I think that most companies who are coming from the Western world, they always see as if you're going into another country, it's like, we know what's best. But it's always good to really use the resources available on ground, like you just mentioned, to be able to maximize the efforts and be able to collaborate. But I feel like sometimes people don't really necessarily realize that. until they get there, and then they fail, and then they're like, oh, wait,
Hello.
coach
Yeah.
is not the right
Hello.
coach.
Is that arrogance? Is that arrogance of thinking that my way is the best way?
Mhm.
You know, I've done it here. You know, look at our country. Our country is built up. It's one of the wealthiest nations in the world. And, you know, a lot of that is fanfare. A lot of that is advertisement,
Mhm.
you know, but at the end of the day, when you're coming to do a job in a unfamiliar terrain, you have to take stock of what is around you.
Mhm.
You know, if you're really like an engineer by trade, you have to be resourceful. That's the job. So
Yeah.
you can only be resourceful if you know how to fully leverage the resources that are in that environment.
Mhm.
You know, rather than look at all the risk. If you're a proper business person, how can you bring all your resources from outside with all the risk attached to that, right? Because
Yeah.
risk equals insurance,
Yeah.
okay, which means
Yeah.
cost. Right. So I think by having some respect for the area you're in, some respect for the brain trust and the capacity that's on the ground, you can also save money and be more successful because you don't have to go through the growing pains that Rebecca has just mentioned. You know, you come in and you're honest about collaboration, which I think is missing, you know, and well, I don't want to speak ultimately because I'm sure there's companies doing, you know, fair business around the world, but the kind of stories we hear, I know exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a good point too, because not only that you guys, of course, you know, say, you know, consult with these countries too, but you also learn from these countries as well too, collaboration. So it's like, hey, I didn't know that. Wow, let me bring that to my business as well too, and that's really refreshing
You know,
too.
I see that concept even outside of my line of business.
Mhm.
When you look at telecom in Africa,
Mm.
the way telecom, even the way telecom interacts with financial technology.
Mhm.
You can be somewhere, your cousin that's always hitting you up for 20 bucks, he needs 20 bucks.
Mhm.
Send the guy a code. He can go to any ATM in the
Yeah.
country, put in the code, and pull out his 20. You can't do it here in the US. You
Yeah,
cannot.
Senyo, I told you not to tell everybody about that story. That was one time. I'm joking.
And so it's that thinking and that ingenuity that when I come into a space, I'm trying to tap into how are they using this technology for their means, and is there a gap in the way that they're using it here and the way we're even using it here in the US? You know, so to be able to share that in so many different spaces, if you really love the work and you want to be an expert and want to move the ball forward, I think that's the mind frame we should be operating from. You know, the big boss in the back is, are you picking that up?
Yeah, but don't worry. It's fine. But also wanted to kind of piggyback to the collaboration too. So in your team, your company, what does it take for a person that, hey, I really want to work for somebody like you? What are you looking for in an employee, in a, you know, a team member, or even a mentee?
Wow. It's interesting because we're currently in a process of bringing on cohorts that we've trained in solar, and we are onboarding them in phases. You
Mhm.
know, so what I see now, and these are people that don't have background in engineering or any kind of technical background, right? They go through a 9-month process, introduction to the industry, get some on-the-job training, and then are ultimately onboarded. But you know, the thing I see is commitment, right? When I say commitment, you know, if work is 7 o'clock, okay, 7, and maybe you off 4 o'clock, 4:30, fine. There's some people that come in 7 on the dot. You know, there's some that come in 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes after 7, but 4:30 sharp, maybe even 4:25, they're out.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you have the other folks that 6:45, 6:30, they're in the parking lot, even if the office is not open, they're there, maybe reviewing, trying to get a leg up before the workday starts. 4:30, you have a difficult time kicking them out. Okay, so that's just from a baseline standpoint, commitment, showing up, right? Showing up is one piece. I think the love of learning is important. If you're not excited, to learn, this may not be the work for you, because we all have our passions in life. And one thing that I know is, in working with all this renewable energy, is time is our one unrenewable resource, right? You'll never get these moments back. The moment I just spoke, it's not coming again.
Yeah.
Okay, so you should not spend your time doing something that you cannot give yourself fully to and you cannot get excited about. So I love solar. I love clean energy. I love the energy equation because, one, it's supporting the earth. Two, it's unlocking opportunities for the community, but if you're not there in your heart for this, then I push people to find whatever it is that does trigger you in that way. Your time is better spent there, and you're going to be a better service to your community and to the world ultimately, because you spent your time where you're supposed to be. So I think that's knowing yourself properly before you go into an endeavor. I look for that. Because a lot of people, if I offer you, $40-50 an hour, it's not bad money. So people will take it and just be working the job, hating their life. I don't want you to come to Sesenergi hating your life. No matter what the price tag is, it's not worth it. So those are just two of the things that I look for.
Yeah.
And I like the way you said that commitment, showing up, and having the love of learning, because I think in any I think industry, you have to have those things. Like you mentioned, like if you don't have that passion, then there's no point of you doing something that's just going to waste your time and the other people's time as well.
Right.
So my question to you next is, what are some new projects you'd like to share with our audience, or how can they even reach out to Sesenergi? Yeah, so that's my question.
Okay, so I mean, there's a few projects, but maybe two that stand out. Is one, there's a group nonprofit by the name of My Chosen Vessels. They're located in Kenya.
Okay.
They work with the Maasai tribe. Okay, I'm sure you're familiar with the Maasai tribe, very popular tribe. And for a long time, the Maasai tribe has been victimized by the tourism industry. Big hotel companies, big corporations, they come, they take the culture, they profit from it, but not much comes back to the Maasai. So My Chosen Vessels, that's ran by a lady by the name of Jessica, I may mess up her last name, Consetti. I want to say that's the last name, but she's the executive director there. And her thought is to organize the Maasai in such a way that, they have their own sort of marketplace that they own, they have equity in, so that their unique trinkets that they make, the clothing and garments that they make, they keep complete control and equity over it.
Oh, wow.
But then they went as far to understand that in order to run a marketplace, you need, a solid infrastructure, to do that. So they invited us to come and design and help build, a solar system, to support that marketplace. So that will be 100% renewable. It will power, the entire capacity of the marketplace. And that's just one thing in their bottom line that they don't have to think about, enabling and empowering people to be able to do business that have been historically marginalized so that they can pull themselves up, I think is in line with Sesenergi's, mission statement. So that's one major project. And then the second one is the mixed use I was referencing earlier. We have a Sesenergi in partnership with a group by the name of Fabric Brands, which I mentioned before. We have a project called TREC. It's the Technology Renewable Energy Command Center, and that is located in the South Loop in Chicago. It's a multi-story building, but it's clean, 100% clean energy. It's what we call net zero. So net zero is you are actually producing as much as you're consuming, right? So all the refrigerators, freezers, lights, everything that's on, because of the solar and the batteries and the geothermal that we're using, you're able to cancel your consumption out, and they call it nets as an aggregate zero, which speaks to our focus on reducing our carbon footprint in the world. So there's all kinds of workforce development components built into that. So we plan on touching the community and getting, Chicago involved as a whole. So we're excited about those two things coming down the pipe.
Mm-hmm. I have one more question too. Did you? I see so much passion with your projects and your company. When you were little, what did little Senyo always wanted to be when he grew up? Was it always?
I wanted to be Michael Jackson.
I think we all did too.
Dancing, man. I used to, you can ask anybody around.
Yeah.
I was a dancing fool.
Oh.
But I mean, my grandfather was a civil engineer back home in Ghana, so engineering has always been it. I knew one way or the other. After the dance moves got a little shaky, that I had to come back to engineering.
Yeah, that's great to hear. But Senyo, I just want to say thank you for coming on our show too. This was very, very informative. I believe like our audience have a lot to digest and to learn, because this is Mark. I learned a lot even during the interview too, and your family. So, but this was very informative to me too. But thank you so much for being on our show.
Thank you, and thank you, Rebecca. www.sesenergi.com. Find us, and then we also have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So SESENERGI. You can reach me on any one of those platforms.
Awesome.
Thank you. And that will be on our top of the screen too. So guys, if you have any questions, just head to that website, and hopefully somebody will contact you.
Let's go green. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. So thank you so much for being on our show.
Thank you for having me.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So there you have it, guys. We just learned about clean energy, sustainability, solar power, all those kind of things in our interview with Senyo from Sesenergi. I really hope you guys enjoyed that episode and really learned a lot of things. And feel free to reach out to him and reach out to us as well. And I'm going to turn over to Foley to close it out for us.
Yes, and Rebecca mentioned reach out to us, so we can be located at all social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. What else was the other one too? YouTube, anywhere too. You can reach out to us, and we're anywhere from Reley's Career Services. Also, you can reach out to our website at www.releyscareerservices.com. And also, if you guys need any resume help, cover letters, mock interviews, you can submit. We have a question and submission page where you can submit any services, and we'll answer those questions for you or provide you with the service as quickly as possible. You guys have a great day, and this is season two, everybody. So we're gonna have more guests, and as you can see, I have a new look. I'm bald now, so all right. And Rebecca's on mute, so yeah, oh yeah, Rebecca's on mute, so yeah. But yeah, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye.
All right, bye.